Good evening, everybody. I'm Kath Lloyd from Make the Change, and yes, it is correct. It is the wrong day. It is Thursday and not Wednesday, even though I seem to have missed today. And I do apologise for not, coming on live yesterday. And before we start, I'd just like to thank everybody for sending their well wishes, and I really do appreciate it, and all on all your thoughts and lovely supportive words that come my way from you. So thank you very much to everybody. And let's crack on. So tonight it's Let's Talk Improving Your A&R. So why A&R? Well, A&R is for attitude and resilience. And have you ever wondered how some people manage to negotiate change, stresses, trauma, frustrations more than other people? Well, this is all down to their positive attitude and their resilience in life. And so resilient people can see a negative situation or a frustration or a challenge as something to be reckoned with, and so they are able to focus on it and to find a way out of the other side a lot more easily than other people. And because they will adapt to the circumstances and focus on the hidden opportunities that are there. And when bad things happen, they will always keep an air of hope within themselves that, hi Pippa, lovely to see you here. They will always have that glimmer of hope that is there in the back of their mind, deep in their belly, that will keep them moving forwards. And these these traits that resilient people hold will allow them to stretch themselves, to take them out of their comfort zone, so that they can begin to make a bad situation better. All right. It doesn't mean to say that they don't feel all the other feelings that perhaps less resilient or less positive attitudes people have. It's just that they are able to manage it more easily, and this is all to do with how the brain is functioning and to do with the frontal lobe, and whether it's the left or the right that is more dominant. So resilient people with a positive attitude, are left frontal lobe dominant. So it means when they are forced into a situation, into a negative situation, they can neutralize those feelings, okay, which allows them to become more positive. They are more socially orientated, and they have a more can-do attitude, so that they can play. So that can-do attitude will help them to play a more active role in their life and to follow through the ideas. Hello, Helen, lovely to see you here. Follow through their thought processes, the actions that they want to put in place, so that they can come out the other side. Now, of course, the opposite to that are the right frontal lobe dominant people, and they have a more negative attitude to life. So often people who feel that they are very shy will be more right frontal lobe dominant, and because they're shy, they're more likely to sit on the boundaries and not feel as if they're able to cope with the challenges that are put in front of them, to be able to come out the other side more positively. And this is all to do with, like I've talked about before, is your natural optimism or pessimistic side of your nature. And, everybody's different. That's why, people are so fantastic, because we're all different and we all manage situations in a different way. And it doesn't mean to say, if you're struggling, that you're not such a good person as somebody else, because unfortunately, when we're in difficult situations, it's easy to compare ourselves with other people and how they're managing. But, we've discussed before, what we see on the outside isn't necessarily what's going on in the inside. So some people might be able to put on a very good front, but actually inside they are finding it really, really difficult. So what I want to move on to next is about attitude. Okay, and attitude again is about how we approach life, and attitude has a significant impact on our stress levels. So people with a positive attitude, often when we talk about attitude, it's in a very negative way, like, oh God, you got a terrible attitude, to life, or to your work ethics, or to your core values. But actually it can work either way, and we're talking about encouraging more of a positive attitude to life. And positive, people who have a very positive attitude to life have three things in common. They've got commitment. All right, so they have got commitment in themselves to invest in what they're doing. All right. 2, they have control, because and they get that control because they've got a more realistic sense of what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're going to do it, which is then going to give them more control. And 3, they are up for a challenge. So any type of change, any type of situation that puts them in a different state is an opportunity for them to learn something new, to find out something different. And so then, because they're up for a challenge, they've then got more commitment, which then gives them more sense of control, and then will give them even more challenge. So here, hi Jenny, lovely to see you here. So you can see that little cycle going on there. So commitment, control, challenge, which then takes the cycle back round again. And these people with a very positive attitude on life, they're called stress hardy people. All right, it doesn't mean to say that they don't get anxious or they don't get stressed. It's just that they are more capable of managing it in their own way. Okay. But it doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't have any stress in our lives, because if we didn't have any stress in our lives, then we're not challenging ourselves, because the stress, if you want to get through the stress or the anxiety, you have to challenge yourself and push yourself out of your comfort zone, which can be really, really hard, so that you get something different from the stress and anxiety that you are experiencing at that moment. Okay, and in actual fact, it's really worth trying to press through it if you can, because this is where the rewiring of your brain will start to begin. All right, so and this is all about habit as well, because sometimes it's very easy to get ourselves into a habit of managing in a certain way, of thinking and feeling and behaving in a certain way, which actually in the long term isn't that beneficial. All right, so it's worth investing the time, investing in and pushing through the uncomfortable feelings that you get when you push yourself out of your comfort zone, because it is going to really support the way your brain is functioning in the long term. So for example, hi Sean, lovely to see you here. So, for example, Beethoven, whether you're a classical music lover or not, Beethoven was, he wrote and composed all of his life, and actually he went through a lot of anxiety and stress and trauma in his life. I mean, he started composing when he was very young, but his mother died, his father couldn't cope and turned to alcoholism, so Beethoven went back home, looked after his two younger brothers, and then not long after they had grown up, he became deaf. But he is the resilient person that, everybody says, because he got through the death of his mother, the stresses of his father, looking after his two younger brothers, finding out that he was deaf. But in actual fact, people say that the work that he composed once he was deaf was the far greater and more accomplished work than he'd ever written before. So Beethoven was one of these stress-hardy people who, rose to the occasion. It was a challenge. He took control of the situation, and he had commitment to follow through with what was really in his heart. To give back to other people something, that they couldn't do. So when we talk about resilience and attitude, this also has to do with our state and our traits. Okay, so our state is to do with our emotions. So we talk, say, things like happiness, sadness, excitement, hopefulness. Okay, and we all fluctuate between those. All right, most of us, are on probably, on a daily basis, we fluctuate between a whole range of different states, but definitely through a whole week. Okay, and the majority of the time we manage. All right, but the difference between a state and a trait is the trait is the pattern of your behaviour, of you enduring your attitude, or enduring the patterns of your life, how you manage them, how you come out of the other side. And we're all different on this, because we all, like I said, experience anxiety and stress, but we don't all experience them for a long-term period. Okay, and so this is, where we can start altering our traits with our, changing how we are with our attitudes, and then with our resilience. So the more experiences we have of a particular state, so I mentioned happiness, sadness, hope, excitement, the greater chance we are changing our habits and creating a new trait within ourselves. All right. So if you feel that you're not as resilient as you'd like to be, if you feel that you haven't got, a positive attitude as you would like, then it's about using tools and techniques to help you focus on the difference that you want, so that you can be more positive, so that you can be more resilient. Because at the end of the day, it's like anything else. If you want to change your eating habits or your fitness regime or other sorts of lifestyle change, then those are habits that we have created, that we have fed to become the way that they are. And so again, it's about changing that habit of the way you're feeling, of the way you're thinking, which then has an impact on your behaviour. Hi Nick, lovely to see you here. So when I say talking about practice, it's about your focus. All right, it's about positive mood exercises, ones that I've talked about before. So it's about mindfulness, gratitude, breathing, thinking about before you go to sleep at night, what do you want to be thinking, feeling and behaving the next day? Because overnight your brain's going to start processing that information, so you're more likely to wake up in the morning. Hi Stephanie, lovely to see you here. You're more likely to wake up in the morning with that state, okay, of striving for those things that you were thinking about. And if you don't, well, then you need to stop yourself. So it's go back to stop, all right? Stop yourself and remind yourself of what it is that you want to be thinking and feeling and how you want to be behaving, so that you're rewiring, training your brain into the new habits, so that you can become more left frontal lobe. Hi Anne, lovely to see you here. More left frontal lobe, okay, so that you can become a more stress hardy person, and less of the right frontal lobe, where you're struggling with, having more negative thought processes and a more negative attitude to life. So, if anybody, hi, just made it, yes, Anne, lovely to see you here. So, what I'm going to be doing next week is something called Feed, which is going to develop on how to improve your attitude and resilience in life. And I will be here on Wednesday night next week, unless something peculiar happens, which I hope it isn't. But until then, I've got some really exciting news, because you can now pre-order my book, When Dad Became Joan, Life with My Transgender Father. And the book is coming out at the beginning of December for $14.99. You can pre-order on my website on www.kathloyd.co.uk, and on the left hand side you will see a heading called Books or My Books or something, and if you go on there it'll tell you a bit more about the book and how to pre-order. So you can pre-order at $9.99 plus postage and package, and the estimated delivery date is the 10th of December, because I have got my first batch of books on order. So I'm going to end it there, because it is only an introduction. Thank you for joining me. I hope it's given you something useful and helpful to work with, and I look forward to you joining me next week on Wednesday, not on Thursday, but at 8 o'clock, and have a great week. Bye bye.